What's up, guys? It's Elijah from Gaming. We're finishing up this quest. The stream crashed when I didn't realize it crashed, so I gotta go and do this shit. I kill a couple dragons and go all the way to Asa. All you missed was me killing a set of dragons and doing squadron stuff, so nothing important. I had to switch to Dark Knight because I was getting my ass kicked as, what's it called? Getting my ass kicked as last can. This is like why I don't like playing Black Can. Then multiple Black Mage. Logan and no Logmont. Things are a bit baggy for a while there, but I think we've riding one piece to the wonder has the dragon so off. Wonder what has the dragon so often tell you. I mean, the bad ones are always but this one worse than usual. That's better than what I got. Probably what I get, because I already have this shit. Small problem people when the wizard highlights his horror goes invariably abandons lots of purchases to lands below the house. Try to look. No, I doubt you can hear up. So stops clearing up her until it rests when the wind dies down. So many dragons. I don't want to fight a lower Skylord, no thanks. Blizzard's a favorite. This should be nice to keep the winds will likely die down by tomorrow, but until then we might as well make ourselves comfortable. You must interrupt the journey so close to this place is good as any. Have to breathe respect for the hearts of the world, help clear minds of readiness for coming partly. Very well then, I believe this campfire is what lead the guardian for me. I acquire key notes for firewood during my time in Frozen. Please support this. Clear our minds, since master of his mind is clear in the thought of me, agree when his flesh is beheld the boy. You see him stroll ways, and these rooms are climbed clearly falling away with the least fall him, you see that the wildlife is still making you like young for him, and all the camp break by the time you return. Yeah, I'm switching to Dark Knight. I don't know how many monsters there are going to be, and I'm just switching just in case. one monster, but they're surrounded by a bunch of other monsters. So yeah, I'm not doing this shit. Away from me. Fine. Fucking weird. This outlet is all the way down there. He was right to worry about the voice 15 months after that. Chances will be gonna see about stuff with the ice cream is filled a pot with what looked like stew ready for the fire. I even live? Yes, I am. Let's say I'm live on my YouTube, but I am live. A few things occurred, some pleasure soon beside crackling campfire one's making. Hudson speaks to great explorer until recently you wouldn't have recognized firewood if it came with kindling in a flint. This is what you instructed me so patiently then, but yes, left to my own devices, I've been compelled to signal to you assailed with a pile of damp leaves. Born the pampered son of a Charlatan dignitary, and alongside my twin became the youngest student ever to be accepted in the studio. How proud I was to match wits with scholars and philosophers, how ignorant of my own shortcomings, the hubris of manipulation and betrayal was the downfall of science. We all of us are guilty of similar ignorance. How many men lay down their lives, no never what it is they fight for. The question which they have been taught to believe. It's a lot.
What's the story behind the best moon salt ever and the name of it?
Okay, so,
was
I was
upon meeting
always a
her rail
moonsault
scar.
guy. I always
The
wanted to do a moonsault. The great Muda inspired me to do a moonsault, so I started to learn a
I've
moonsault
learned
in early 94.
that learned the truth taken within our history. Were it not for that chance coward, I would never have vowed to tear down the holy see, such as the whole falsehood which it fans. The falsehood which it fans, the claims confident will live and die in ignorance that the truth stirred me to do so terrible things can deny, but I'd rather sit in the pursuit of peace than imagine yourself virtues perpetuating a needless war.
95. I was even doing it. I remember doing it for the first time in Puerto Rico when I was in WWC. And so,
If this journey has taught me anything, it is the importance and difficulty of holding to one's convictions in the face of failure, striving always to replace one's ignorance with knowledge. You were well on your way, Master Alpha, and at your age I was but a fool, so in this fear was scarcely a thought in my head. Even now I still acknowledge the misconceptions on which I have labored. Sitting here amongst these grand ruins, how can I deny that man and dragon once had lived in peace? But for all that such existed, we are now in time of war, and how killed my family, no court of history will exonerate him.
The Mexican wrestler that was there, and it wasn't in time in Puerto Rico when I was in WWC. And so,
I may be ignorant how the Dragon's War began, but if we do not put an end to this conflict now, I say for certainty that it will only breed more vengeful souls such as mine. My hand resides the power to grant vanquish great when if it regards to final wrestle me wielding that power, I'll slay them, hog myself, orders or no. Esteem, you gave your word. My words contingent upon the success of a parley. Show me the strength of your viciously heart. Convince Harascal of the righteousness of your cause. Doubt, but that I shall drag you. Though winds willing, we shall have our answers tomorrow. Let us sleep now and face to face with the rising of the sun.
I was training one day in Windy City, and there was a Mexican wrestler that was there, and it wasn't anybody famous, and I don't even remember the gentleman's name, but I saw him do like a bounce from the second, bounce to the top, like a cross body, and I thought, hey, that's cool. And at the time, I was playing with this moonsault where you stand on the top rope, and then you jump up and bounce. You basically turn and bounce like Mark Merrow had done. And so I was doing that for a little bit and having sort of good success with it. But then I thought, oh, maybe it'd be easier if I just did this bounce. And so for the longest time, I just called it like a double bounce moonsault. And I wasn't doing it on television at that point, so no one was calling it double bounce moonsault. Like no announcers were calling it. It was just me when I would say, hey, okay, this, and then I took the double bounce moonsault. And so somewhere along the lines of TNA, I'm a Simpsons fan, and so, everything that comic book guys said was like, best comic book ever. Ha-ha! That's all I've ever said. Yeah, exactly. And so that was growing up.
And Tiffany Stratton calls hers the prettiest insult ever.
Which I thought was very, very cool. She, I don't know Tiffany, no, I've never met her. But the fact that she didn't just copy it, she sort of adjusted it, which is what the greats do. I feel like they don't just steal. They if we are inspired by something, we try to go around with it. So the fact that she goes from the bottom all the way up, and then just sort of like homage or color and same vein or maybe it's pretty cool. I can't be mad.
And it's a nice tip of the cap to not just
Did I accidentally get the algae pieces?
Yeah, that was very cool. Thanks.
somehow Jacob Fox does this as well.
He does, and he literally, like, we wrestled one time on the Independence, and he said to him, like, hey, what's your finish? And he goes, well, it's the best moonsault ever. I was like, okay, maybe you don't hit me with that. But he was very cool about it. I mean, and the fact that he does it, the fact that he was sort of open about getting it from me, it's pretty nice, man. I mean, I'm surprised more people hadn't done it earlier than this, because I mean, it's not to downplay how difficult it So I mean, like, there was. I wasn't perfect all the time, but I very rarely just very.
The camper was so cozy, you must have fallen asleep, Kubo. But do you feel how the winds have shifted? They will have borne Horasto back to Sky Zenith. I feel it. This is your chance upon the highest floor of the house. Something that looks too don't shine hard, so I'll behave bad now. It's all something good. Kubo, I know it was nice knowing you. I know how to get up there. I'm just gonna go and do the Black Mage quest real quick. Let's go. So, Olga.
How long did it take your flight?
So, newsflash, that was never real. That was fake. Yes. So, we had the match with the Young Bucks. Right? All of you that are watching now, you're gonna feel this. So, I had the match with the Young Bucks where SCU split up. I got super kicked into the post. And the next day, I had this huge black eye. I can give you guys pictures to show later down the line. I had this huge black eye and it started to fill.
You were part of one of the scariest things I've ever seen in wrestling.
Okay.
Ultimate X match.
Okay.
That fall with Suicide, right, was, I don't know how you survived. I don't know how you weren't seriously injured.
Yeah, luck. I was holding on so tight to Suicide, and he ended up taking the brunt of the fall. And the funny thing is, like, that wasn't the original plan because Frankie and I, who was doing Suicide, we had an idea of what we wanted to do, and I'll tell you the story. So we had both jumped off the top of the truss before in these episodes.
2K is just plain greedy. Check it out. Because like it says right here, 2K teasing college basketball game to rival EA Sports college basketball. And mind you, this came out right after EA said that they're going to be making a college basketball game that's supposed to be coming out in 2027 and 2028. Listen, man, whenever 2K make a college basketball game, do not buy this shit, bruh. Don't be gushing over something that y'all are going to be getting with the same shit with NBA 2K. I'm telling you, they're going to riddle this game with microtransactions. Y'all going to buy this shit over and over and over again. Y'all gonna flexing on the internet about how much DC that y'all got to level up a college player. And
With X matches, we were the only ones. And so I had an idea, like, what if we did this? I'll get on this truss and you get on this truss. You jump first, and then I'll jump and I'll land on your back. And then we'll stand on the ropes, and I'll hook you for angel's wings, and then you backdrop me. And that was what we were going to do.
What?
That was what we were going to do, and I was full on ready to take this backdrop from the top of the truss into the ring.
Gosh.
And then we get to Irvine, and they've got a ceiling on it. They've got these trusses over the top that cover the X, and we couldn't do that because every time we had done Ultimate X in Orlando, they had bolted the trusses to the floor, but we didn't own Irvine. This was like UC Irvine, so we had to have the truss on top to sort of bolt. We couldn't bolt it to the floor. We couldn't use it to secure the trusses, so we had to have the X over top. So
You have
then
received
we
no
came up
letter.
with this idea,
Challenger,
like,
please
all
help
I
me
guess we'll
hide.
climb down
No, it's been
I'll
telling you,
try to
that's
do
all it
this,
says.
complete shot to you.
The writing
And
is
it
very
turned
legible.
like
That
my
was
legs
progressing,
got
but
hooked,
those will
instead
know
of
it's
just
in
going
need of our
flat
help.
on a flat
So I
back,
have to tell
which still would've
Zion
been-
Nail about the control of his previous operator. You know you have full control powers. Use
It ended
this
up being
opportunity to
like
show that
almost
man that
upside down
true
and
cunning
landing like
thing is
this.
the black when she brings the fight.
Joe
The
really
top
yelled
partner
at
you always bring
me.
to
I
go.
knew that the worst, the actual danger was coming to the back. Having Samoa Joe grab you by the neck. I go, don't you ever do that again. Like, really frightening. I was like, oh my gosh. It's fine. Like, I literally landed, and the referee comes over to my face. He goes, oh my God, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. What's up?
What?
I'm good. Yeah, but I could hear like the air escape the room. In the end, like, I wish we hadn't done that because it literally just, the match just stopped right there. Like, poor Red is still fighting and trying to get the next division belt, and the world thinks, oh my God, we just witnessed a death. Like, they're not even thinking about the match anymore. So I feel bad that it ended up being what it was. But I mean, like, that's the thing everybody remembers is my near-death experience. That's not really what we wanted.
The video on YouTube is titled Chris Daniels Almost Dies.
I tell people all the time, Chris Daniels Almost Dies is on.
So what was the spot supposed to look like?
That's like a flag. Like, in the end, it was just gonna be like a face. Like, I do this thing, like how I set up the Koji clutch is literally grab the guy by the back of the neck and I take back.
So both of you guys are
Like
involved.
flat, like flat back and his flat stomach. But because as I was like my legs, body came off. Like,
And it looked like at the last second Frankie rotates or something.
I hate multi-battles as a mage.
You were part of one of the scariest things I've ever seen. What's the story behind the rumor that you
I didn't hear this until years later.
So is there any truth to it?
Maybe. I mean, but it was never anything that they told me. And honestly, it was a terrible idea. Because the idea would have been like, Undertaker is like answering to this higher power, and then I'm asking it to me. And they had an idea where I was going to be Vampiro's. The way they described it to me was if Vampiro's Darth Vader, you're the answer. And so, but also, like at this point, Vampiro was feuding with Sting, and I was in London. So whenever the reveal was going to be at that point, it was going to be a lot to me. And so I thought, okay, we'll do this. And I remember going to WCW one day, cutting this promo backstage with Vampiro where I've got this stud, and they're like talking to me like, all right, talk about harvesting souls and things like that. And I'm like, okay. So I cut this promo, we get it live, and then I'm back in the locker room, and it comes on live radio. So this is Jeff Jarrett who happens to be there, and I haven't really even mentioned. Because I had been going to do WWE dark matches as an extra, and Jim Cornette was always sort of trying to get me there early on when light heavyweight thing was the thing. And they knew I was doing the Fallen Angels, so I think they thought, oh, maybe this is something that we can use him as. But honestly, I think once Vince saw the fights and this is the time when everybody is 6 feet something and something, it's like, you're better, and I was like, that makes sense.
How did you know it was time to retire?
Thank you, Eli. Save those life he has.
At the beginning of 2024,
Kazik Chai Trent, Orange, Dizzle, Dozel panicked, tried to sleep, but he caught Dizzle did squawk. Someone needed Dizzle excited style to try to finish this. In the forest, they chased Dozel Squawk. Finally, the strong Dozel offered friendship first, was rejected. Dozel said it did. They said if Dozel is not friendly Dozel, it's the same Dozel you did many things. God, it was too late again. You've already cut your shot. Reckless destruction. What do you plan to do? How many more lives will events again before you realize how few looks to They're not dead. Wait, these wounds they're unlike anything never seen. Looks like they're incinerated from the inside. Eli, perhaps this is not your doing after all. I didn't even read that by accident. Doesn't understand now. Squawk read the book of all they did. Learn mother of Dozel. Learn their secrets. Dozel's secrets make clear the purposes of these women's purposes. And it has an explanation. These men did not have the gems to Toto Squawk. Dozel thinks this is why they died. Gems is Toto, whatever you talk about. Gem is the proof that Eli is true black mage. Gems bring Swift adds the power. Without the gems, ship Toto impossible to control. The most powerful black magic is Squawk. Lost control these mages did. The aether within their bodies ignited, burned life inside. Painful way to die it is. So these defiant mages fell victim to their own arrogance using dark magic that far outstripped their ability to control them. So Eli is in its hole. Can't see Steve Dozel hopes he's fine, but Dozel can't see her. Dozel must leave. Thank you, Eli. Dozel loves you like dead of life. Squawk. One day, Dozel will repay.
That's not fair, and especially as someone who.
So these men were not slain by her, but by the use of their own use of their powers. They couldn't control. Please understand the fact you control. Your powers is not a thing to resolve the issue, and you should return to the lie and explain to her what happened here. Please accept my apologies for my earlier accusations.
I need you to wrestle this person tonight, or I need you to put this guy over tonight, whatever. If he wanted me, I would do it. So, one of the last things we did, or one of the last times he asked me to wrestle, was the tag match with me and Matt against the Young Bucks. And, and going into that, I knew, the finish should be on me. And after that, I said, wait, what would happen if, or not after that, but like right before that, I said, what would happen if they pinned me and then they fired? And in my head, I thought the natural progression was, okay, they would fire me. They're misusing their EVP powers. Tony would hire me back and I would wrestle them again, whatever. But then once it happened, I thought, oh wait, what if they made me an EVP to sort of like offset if I was like the babyface version of what Matt and Nick were doing as EVPs. And so we pitched that, and I think once I sort of got that position, I think Tony didn't want me to wrestle and be an EVP. And in my head, the EVPs wrestled all the time. So I was like, oh, I'll wrestle every once in a while. But I don't think Tony had that same mentality. So like it then turned into me only being an EVP. And like from May to almost the end of the year, like he didn't ask me to wrestle again. The last match I had before the end of the year, I actually volunteered for, the one with Jack Perry on Collision, because it was a Jack Perry versus CBD, and I was like, hey, what if that was me? And he was like, oh, that'd be great. That's better than an enhancement match, whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. But then like I felt like he didn't really need me to wrestle as often. So right around that period of time, I would be pitching different ideas to different guys, but not to Tony directly. It was like, I remember going to John Morrison once, and I was like, hey, what if you and I were like a tag team, like an LA tag team? What if we were called like the LA Riots? And he was like, oh. And then he started to get more involved with MXM, and I was like, okay, well, that's a good thing for him. I don't need to be weighing him down. And I went to Hangman one time, and this was in the middle of the time where he was getting booed out of the building. Like he was in the midst of the thing with Swerve. He was just starting this thing with Jay White, and I was like, hey man, what if you ended my career? What if you that would be like great heat for a heel to be like, if you crippled me so bad I couldn't wrestle you. That would be cool. And didn't think anything of it after that. I just, well, that would be cool, right? That'd be a good way to go out. And then, like near the end of the year, he was like, hey, I went to Tony and I think we're going to do this thing with me. And I was like, oh, so if it wasn't for Hangman pass on the floor, I felt like it would happen. I might have just ended my career with him after Jack. And just said, I'm done.
Yes, he's unharmed.
So it was
Let's see, well, nothing else is Zaya, Nelha, no longer down to this, but Define or Emily, if we win, those conjectures accurate, the whole situation becomes quite clear, but how do you explain that to you, do I? So you have noticed it too. I still cannot condone Zaya and Nelha's attitude. I've struggled exclusively for my side of dark arts myself with what little power I have. Perhaps no one can understand this violence and affection better than I. Violence never cannot continue to grow indefinitely. They will have to difficulty filling the rings and they can't use their powers without the risk of horrifying death by immolation. They strive for control of the dark arts. Thus they strive for control of the dark arts, for showing themselves only to our beasts in front in the hope that they might reveal the secrets to controlling these magics. Fortunately, we have to prevent them from learning everything with these avenues not lost to them. Waldy must realize that he's running out of options. Though we may lack leads from which to track down the divine, position becomes weaker the longer they wait. They will soon be forced to take action. There is no need to rush.
And after, so every 4 years at the time, Michinoku Pro would do a 3-man match because, like, it was with a friend of mine, like my best friend, and decided to hang up the boots. The last match for his brother. The last match for Christopher Daniels was.
There's no need to. There's no need to rush. We simply need to wait the enemies out.
Decided to hang up the boots after wrestling the last brother. Yeah, so it was easy for me to decide to do a Curryman match because, like, it was with a friend of mine, like my best friend. And, like, to have that moment be the official last time I ever take a bump in a wrestling ring for a wrestling match, that was cool. But also, I don't feel like it takes away from anything that happened in the match with Adam because that is the last time you'll see this human wrestling a wrestling match.
What was the idea behind Curryman to begin with?
Okay, so every 4 years at the time, Michinoku Pro would do a masked man tournament. It was a big round robin, month-long thing, and they did it in '95. And I want to say Jerry Lynn was in it. He wrestled as a Morgan's Cross was his character, and so this was May of '99. So in April of '99, I do a tour with Michinoku Pro as Christopher Daniels, and afterwards they're like, "Hey, we'd like you to be in this tournament," because they would have the regular masked wrestlers. Great Sasuke, Ramaniwa, Tiger Mask, and then they would name these characters for the tournament to fill it out. And so they wanted me to be one of the guys. There was Jason Cross from the UK was one of them. Jimmy Fleisch from the UK was one of them. And so there was a guy named Kendo, an older Mexican wrestler, and he was translating for me, but his English wasn't great. So, like, he comes up to me the day I get there, and he goes, "You, Karema." And I go, "I don't know what Karema means." "Okay, I'm Karema." And then I get to the building and I see the t-shirt and it has all the names of the wrestlers in the tournament and it says Curry Man. And I go, "I guess I'm Curry Man?" And so they explained to me there's a cartoon in Japan called Kinnikuman, which is muscle busters, muscle wrestlers, something like that. There was a character called Curry Cook, and the gimmick was this Curry Cook had a plate of curry and rice on his head, and so Curry Man had this plate of food on his head, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And so, like, and honestly, as racist as this sounds, I didn't know how to play this character. They just said I was from India, and so at the time, being a Simpsons mark, I became Apu. And I would wrestle like Apu. I would hit something and I'd be like, "Oh, so sorry. And I was like, ugh. And so for a while I thought, "Oh, this is weird. I just wanted to wrestle." And so I got depressed and I was like, "Oh, I'm not really feeling this thing." And finally, Gran Hamato, who was one of the older veterans, goes, hey, just wrestle. And he walks away and I was like, "Oh, yeah." And then I sort of, and I was like, "Oh, fuck this. I'll just have fun." So then I came up with this idea of, like, in addition to wearing this mask and this nonsense, I would come out and dance. I would do all this fun stuff. I changed my gear from like the yellow satin singlet and baggy pants with the baby, and I just wore what I would usually wear. I had a cut-off t-shirt Billy Gunn used to wear to hide the tattoo because that wasn't Curryman, or Curryman wasn't just a Daniels. So then I started doing all this to TNA, like I had pitched, you know, when the Fallen Angel character had sort of come to an end, they kept asking me like, why are you the Fallen Angel? Why are you the Fallen Angel? So I remember writing an email to creative guys. I was like, listen, we can do one of two things. We can just say, listen, Fallen Angel, like the name doesn't have to necessarily mean anything. It's a cool name. Like Heartbreak Kid doesn't go technically breaking people's hearts. It's a cool name. Fallen Angel's a cool name. Or I can come and do this Curryman character for you. If you like that, cool. Jeff, like, it's like, all right, let's do this. And so the funny thing was, in my head, when I was going to come, I did the thing where I got fired, and I was going to come back. In my head, I wanted to be like the Yellow Dog, where I come back and I'm wearing the Korean mask, but I'm talking in my voice, and you talk to me, and I'm like, oh, hey man, your Japanese is really good. Hey, I'm Korean, I'm here to wrestle. And Jeff's like, no, it can't be you. It can't be you. And I was like, oh. So then I changed the idea of. He was like, you gotta have more of a body.
Wardle's why did you stir my soul tooth?
And one of the funniest
It's a big ass dragon.
experiences I ever had was working with Jushin Liger. The first time I ever wrestled him one-on-one, he comes up to me and goes, tonight, man, I beat you, right, this time? And that was how it sounded. That was his voice.
Cool ass dragon.
Yeah, that's fine. He goes,
Grace Velga.
and so, like, his voice was always how I spoke as a person. I wanted to talk his cadence. You know, he is, you know, that's why I'm talking first. His Korean would be like,
Thou speakest the name of preachers but awaiteth the release of oblivion. Leave me.
I've had 12. Mine ears hear the tongue of dragons, yet the meaning rings clear within my mind. How can that be?
I've been here for a while. My English is probably going to get better at this point. So then I started
Racevelga,
talking in.
do you not remember me? 'Twas I whom you found in Dravania. I who glimpsed the truth. The truth about your past. About Shiva.
Do not speak her name, mortal.
But speak it I must. I have summoned Shiva's soul from the beyond and offered myself as her vessel. She has made her heart known to me.
Foolish girl, thinkest thou my beloved spirit have descended from the foolish heaven? And the secrets of her heart are thine to know.
I have surrendered mine to her. Do you not see, my love? I am Shiva reborn.
Gold will fool the light but eliminate the past for thee, not grant thee omniscience.
After I came back, I got a chance to do a couple of New Japan matches, and then I got with Liger again. I was like, hey, can I come back?
The spirit thou hast summoned belongeth not to Shiva, 'tis but a shade conjured by thine own hand. An age long past mine own kin were guilty of like folly. Beguiled by the Dark One's lie, they attempted to resurrect the king amongst worms. His divinity called forth merely bothered the semblance of my fallen broom brother. Such gods are not summoned but created, phantoms spun from the threads of misplayed face.
Then the spirit that answered me.
Speaking to AJ Styles and Samoa Joe about this match, but we're so pumped to sit here and talk to you about Unbreakable 2005, okay? One of my favorite matches of all time.
Was but thy dream of Shiva, thy soul hath been corrupted
That match. Did you guys know it was
by a deity of thine own making. Child.
Yes and no. Like, we knew we could do a good match. Like, we had all worked with each other. I don't
Be that as it may, Lord Hraesvelga, Izel's desire to heal the rift between man and dragon is real, and it has borne us this far. We would spare both our kind and yours the ravages of this senseless war. Pray join your voice to ours in a call for peace and forgiveness.
This tale of thy kind is one of avarice, treachery, and death, and now thou wouldst speak to me of peace. Art thee moral to naked truth and tell me thou deservest forgiveness.
Be able to follow what you guys do in terms of action. I was like, okay, that's fair. That night, as we were going through it, and at that point,
1200 years ago, my beloved chief of sacrifice served to bring an end to the war between man and dragon, paving the way for an age of peace and cooperation. Two centuries of harmony were to follow, during which time the Elesian learned much about us, not the least that the least at the eyes of a great form of the wellspring of his strength. It was out of the selfish desire to possess and break the king's sword, and then inspired to do all our peoples had to do together. With the aid of his leal knights, that most noble of the elves employed my brood sister brought a car to damage she took from her that which he craved. Saying would I strike the image from her mind, yet the wheel of the scene dealt into my brood sister's territory of the vile, crying her illness and allies, they had torn out her eyes and feast upon them in their wild beasts. Yet that was not all. Forfeit him from the bloody banquet, the fiends had gained strength on as mortal men, and now I labor comprehended it, and enormity of their betrayal.
So, and is it supposed to be? So, okay, so, I think we had two
Hawk was the first to learn of the atrocities of this guy, hungry for vengeance. As though he fled Thorgrin and a few of his sons, some of his knights, their fellow butchers knew only lowered anger and fears, and with now practiced savagery, they set about my brother standing and flailing from the field. Such is true the holy seal, but keep hidden, such as the beginning of dragon song work. Song my kind shall never forget, and should 10,000 years pass and each card crumble to dust.
be able to follow what you guys do in terms of action. I was like, okay, that's fair. So that night, as we're going through it, and at that point too, the Impact Zone fan.
Your tale bears scant resemblance to the one I was taught. How convenient that it should absolve your kind of all responsibility. But tell me, Dragon, why should I believe your version of events?
That what thou chooses to believe is immaterial. The betrayal that yet haunts mine every waking moment, no less than truth of my kind. Nick hog meaneth, for fortune people suffer very sin until the end of days. That which thou imaginest the worst, being which is but a punishment of evil spirit, hast thou not seen no desire to torment, or to band their own inside of dry kind.
You know, it sounded like so-called to me, like the people, everybody's going nuts for everything as it's going, you know,
But the Altra's progeny bear a trace of Raz. Though the Altra's progeny bear a trace of Raz stars, but a single sip of blood was enough to awaken it.
Then the seed lies within us.
This for the reason that those who have been loyal are ordered to drink, and thus are they transformed and join the ranks of Nidhogg, the growing army of newborn dragons. One by one, those death herders for death herders. Next, my brood brothers shall account for all the children.
Ye gods, I have borne witness to such a transformation. Looked on as a heretic assumed the shape of a dragon. I imagined it some manner of Drovanian enchantment. But if any Ishgardian, regardless of allegiance, has such potential within them, 12 forgive us. To think of all the dragons we've slain.
I could have stopped it, we could have gone to that first spot, but instead I went and got the belt because that was what you
There will always be some, of course, who fight better like the Dragoon. Sort of that evil vigor would be sent years out, or attendant that helps tormented by an offspring.
Oft have I wondered why Nidhogg did not simply raise Ishgard to the ground. Now I have my answer. He has no intention of winning the Dragonsong War, for it is no war at all, but vengeance, an eternal requiem sung for his murdered sister.
Now has to write the Dragon Slayer comprehended this down now to complete that quest.
I have not come this far only to admit defeat. We can still return the eye to Nidhogg and beg forgiveness for our ancestors' crimes. Mayhap our words will sway him.
Stubborn child now thinking some more terms of such as time is too broad for thee to grasp. It's a simple matter for the need to offer thy apologies. I did not perpetrate the crime, but I division the need to his racing business today. For rare has such a thing on that history as president, yet part of his president's flesh was the big gush from stars would have not be true mad. It's only by common embracing she sold the mind only jury has not consumed me. Let's speak no more wisdom. I take from your time spent, I wouldn't be alone.
So much of it was how people, I don't know, sort of, none of us were like that. We were like, yes and no. Like, we knew we could do.
We were just setting up that match. Did you guys know it was going to be special?
Yes and no. Like, we knew we could do a match. Like, we had
Presco was every bit as awe-inspiring as match. His voice barely dripped with power. The wheel behind his words so unmild that it transcended my ignorance. Dragon's tongue. Just but a pity that I disliked what he said. So far to be traveling, even to the very heavens himself, when to be mislike on the which was far from mitigating his accumulation. Here the truths we have learned only serve to prove their grand match piece of death to fail from the first. Nothing will deter Nidhogg from this course.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like we could go out there and do something good. I just didn't know it'd be that good until after like the bell rang. I was like, oh, that was something.
AJ told me that the finish got messed up in some sort of way.
Yes. So
What was it supposed to be?
So I think we had two very similar spots, and I think I want to say Joe started to go to the second spot instead of the first, and afterwards, and I've thought about this after the fact, and I thought to myself, if I had just gone to Joe right directly there, I could have stopped it and we could have gone to that first spot, but instead I went and got the belt because that was like the cue for this second spot. And so everything after me kicking the belt into Joe's face, we're talking on the fly, which is crazy.
How brilliant you guys are.
So yeah, because the idea was like AJ was supposed to win, but we wanted to do something definitive enough to Joe to keep him out of the ring for the finish. And so like I give him the kick, connections. We got to do something. So the crazy thing to me is we knew each other so well, and we knew each other's stuff so crazily well that like we all started trying to talk to each other. And like if it was just two of us, we could have just talked right there and done it. But the fact that I go to AJ and I say, let's do this, and then I go to Joe and Joe says to me, all right, let's do this, Like I think there's a moment where I'm in the STF with Joe, and I feel like he and I had like a very long conversation. Like, all right, what do we do? All right, what if we do this? Brendan and I were both, and the funny thing is, all three of us are trying to figure out a way to get Joe out of the ring long enough to do the finish. And yeah, I mean, we're just talking, and like we're talking, and then AJ and I are talking, and then Joe and AJ are talking, and somehow we got to the thing. We're like, all right, this is the point. And here's the finish. 1, 2, 3, and it still looked on as this, you know. And we were running on the
I'll say it if you're not going to say it. One of the greatest TNA matches.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that so much of it was, and I don't know if we had kept the original top people. I don't know. I think that we had a finish that everybody would have been satisfied with, and like the fact that it like we're just like on the fly, just juggling, you know, spinning plates crazily, like doing all this stuff, and it still turned out to this. I was like, all right, well, I can't complain. We never would have known. Yeah, never would have. Yeah, now we tell the story. Now we tell the story. Like you were here, you can explore a range of options.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I forgot about this one. It's been a while since I did the regular. You say it wasn't letting me click on it. About the cutscenes we've already seen, and we've already watched them all this year. I think this is that Medusa chick. Or is it the dragon? Nope, it's someone else. I don't care about any of this crap. I don't want any of this crap in my